Welcome back to the Shark Scrapper channel, where we're on a mission to get stuff out of the trash and into a resale, reuse, or recycle stream. And most of what we like to work on is e-waste. And we just happen to have some that we picked up recently, so let's get at that. Now that is one heavy son of a gun. But we also get to take advantage of one of our new toys. Tools. Well, for some people, their tools are their toys, right? I replaced the casters on the back of this, so it rolls around much easier now. It's still pretty heavy because of this, because it's a counterweight system, so it so it's heavy in its own right. But this power supply system is probably 80 pounds. And making use of my new Genie Lift, it is very, very easy now to move heavy stuff around. Now I know there's probably some of you that are saying, really, Shark, you couldn't just, pick that up and carry it over to the workbench. Well, it really is. It's about 80 pounds. The batteries alone turn out to be 60 pounds. And then the rest of it is pretty heavy too. And, why do that? Why risk your back and injury? Even a short lift like that, you can sprain your back. So yeah, this is definitely worth the investment, and is going to come in really handy around the shark cage and help save the shark's back. All right. Ugh. Now we got a lot of screws to take out. There's no reason to get bored watching me unscrew stuff, so let's go to Mako Speed. And while we're doing that, I want to say thank you to everybody who has donated to the Shark Scrapper Shark Adoption Project in conjunction with the University of Miami's Shark Research and Conservation. More information will be coming up later on in the video about how you can donate, but right now, let's dive back into this piece of scrap. All right. And let's get the wire cutters in position because we know we're going to need those. There we go. Okay, so we have batteries here, and this is the board. This is actually 60 pounds worth of batteries. So we need to get these things out of the way. All right, and once those brackets are out of the way, we can disconnect this plug We got some real nice heavy duty insulated copper wire here. It's stranded, so I'm not going to mess with stripping that, but there are plenty of folks out there that do, and that's fine. Now that the wire is out of the way, and we'll get to the battery packs in a minute then, I guess. Let's get this guy done first. There's our switch, and this is very much like a breaker switch because it is a breaker switch. So that's going to go in with my breakers because there's probably silver contacts inside of that. And so that's the place where I put everything that probably has silver contacts on it. You can see there's some brass and copper. I am gonna check out how hard it is to get these things busted up. I haven't smashed one up yet. But we'll see if they bust up easy enough with a hammer, then I'll go after it. So for the time being, you guys go up here. Huh. Oh, hey, this is a great opportunity to talk about batteries and a little bit of electrical engineering, but in a fun way. All right, so you see that the connectors are all connected red to black, red to black, red to black. So those of you that understand electrical engineering, double E kind of stuff, explain, is that connected in series or in parallel? And why it's connected that way in a big knock-in backup power supply unit. Okay, now let's get back to the scrap. For those of you that might be new to the channel, I'm not pulling the connectors because I'm not cutting off the connectors because my yard does not require that I do that, and I can still get number 2 insulated copper wire. So that is a nice little thing about the yard that I go to sell my wire. Okay, these batteries are a little bit heavy, each one. Collectively, they're very heavy. 60 pounds worth of heavy in these batteries. Now, one of the advantages for me in the state of Florida, having a secondary metal recycler's certificate means that I'm allowed to bring in more than 2 lead-acid batteries at a time. The state classifies lead-acid batteries as controlled items because they're high theft. So the average peddler, which is the term that's used for the scrappers that just show up that aren't running a business, it's a hobby or that kind of thing, and don't have their certificates, they're only allowed to bring in 2 at a time. I can bring in as many as I bring in. So that's a pretty good chunk of change right there. It's also 60 pounds. All right, this is a low-grade board, or I could take the fuses off and put them with my fuses. But we're just going to go low-grade board on that. Okay, let's take a look at this board now. Man, that is one mamba jamba there. Look at that. Let's see what it looks like. Gonna need another trash bin is what I'm gonna need. All right, so gold fingers, a flat pack, IC chips, oscillators, and a battery. So here's my options. For my yard, I could throw this as it is. Right now, I'll take the battery off, throw it as it is into PCI slot cards for my scrap yard. For board sort, I imagine that I could still do the same thing, take the battery off, but I'd also want to take off this bracket and throw it in with the slot cards. Or I can take the gold fingers, because those are very thick gold fingers. You can see that's a dull gold shine. I can feel the thickness of the fingers. And then make it a mid-grade board. Now, because the refiner that I'm using pays very good prices for the gold fingers, I'm going to make this a mid-grade board. You, of course, need to decide, based on your location and what your yards are paying you and those kind of things, what's the best way for you to play this. So this is really important, especially for new scrappers. If you don't know how you're going to get the value from the components that you might remove from a board in depopulating, don't depopulate it. You could potentially be throwing away value of the board and not knowing how you're going to get that money back again. Here's an example. IC chips, flat packs. You know you can sell them to boardsort.com, maybe other buyers. So you know the value of that. And when you take them off of a board, you know that you're potentially lowering the value of that board, but you can at least do the math and decide if it's worth it to do it. Other components that people might remove, and they don't know if they're going to be able to get the gold out of it or something like that, and so they're risking lowering the value of the board without knowing that they're going to get the value out of what it is they're taking off. It's just something to think about as you weigh these decisions on depopulating or not. And we'll get this cover out of the way. Now, unfortunately, there's no graceful way to get this cover off. All right, now we got a bunch of wire in here that I want to get out of the way. Okay, these toroids are huge. I mean, they're not the biggest toroids I've seen in my life, but Man, they're good sized toroids. Nice and heavy. And these will be relatively easy to take apart because the ferrite inside, I should be able to just smash it with a hammer and then pull the wire. So we're gonna get at those at some point. Bunch of aluminum heat sinks, some more big toroids in here. We've got this connector. Now, jammed in here between the batteries and the, I don't know, you don't want to call it a motherboard, but the power board, is this daughter card kind of looking thing here. So let's get this up and take a look at it. So you can see we've got all kinds of IC chips on it. Let's get it pulled away from the trash. And we've got a real nice gold finger card. So this is one of those real head scratchers for what to do with this board. Now, it's got gold fingers on it, so I imagine Chris would still buy it at boardsort.com as a gold finger card, and it's got no brackets, it's got no heat sinks and everything, so that's a top of the line gold finger card for boardsort.com. For my yard, they'll probably take it as a PCI slot card. Now, if you have a refiner that pays you really well for the gold fingers, or you do that yourself, maybe you pull the gold fingers off of there. Now you've downgraded the board to a mid-grade, maybe a perif. So that's a head scratcher. Really like having the light on this DeWalt driver. It's so handy when I'm looking down inside these dark spaces like this. Wow. Okay. Now, this is not screwed on. So you may recognize this hammer if you have watched Ian Matthews' channel at all. A very good channel, by the way. If you aren't watching Ian Matthews, I definitely recommend it. A very nice gentleman from the United Kingdom. And he scraps and makes things. He's not a scrapper anymore. He makes things. All right, anyway, I wanted to give this hammer a try because it's got this chisel point. And it was very effective for removing that fan. I would say very effective. I like that. And now we have a small motor. Yeah. All right, Ian, I like that hammer. I'm going to add that to my collection. Well, I've already added it to my collection. I'm going to add that to my bag of tricks that I will use. All right, now let's take a look at this board. So the first thing that jumps right out at us are these large copper wire toroids. These will be pretty easy to take off and should be relatively easy to get the copper wire off of them. Some of them are going to be ferrite cores that will bust up. Some are plastic covered ferrite cores and you have to unwind it. Still, that's not that big a deal. So that's really nice. Now the other thing I want to point out, these odd looking black boxes here, those are going to be some sort of relay switch kind of thing. So we're going to bust into one of those and take a look at that. Get one of you guys off the air. Yep. So that's just the plastic shell that was over it, but here's the and you can see that right there, you can see that two of the contacts got left behind. We don't want to leave them behind, so go ahead and pull those off. And right there's the little silver contact. And there's another one there on some copper. And we can even get this thing pretty close to being done here, right? We take this off. Now we have a small motor, or you can break that open and get the copper out of there, but that copper wire is so fine, it's like hair. Hey, where'd you go? Don't do that. Don't be running away. Get up there where you belong. Now we can also see that this board has some caps and some transformers and typical power board, you know, low grade kind of components. But the thing of value that I'm going to go after next are going to be these big aluminum heat sinks. They'll have FETs attached to them. They're screwed in from the bottom, so they're in there pretty securely. In addition to being screwed in from the bottom, each FET is screwed onto the aluminum heatsink. Now that's pretty common. You're going to see that in most cases. Another big old aluminum heatsink. All right, so we've got these guys I want to get off. We're going to get the rest of these aluminum heat sinks off. We'll pull off the rest of these. I'm going to leave those transformers on there for weight. This is going to be a low-grade board. It's already a low-grade board, right? So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just pull a few the obvious things that are relatively quick and simple for me to get out of here. So aluminum heat sinks, these toroids, these switches, relay switches, more toroids, maybe a little bit of IC or something, and the MOSFETs that have the metal heatsink on them, so that I can throw those in with the potential copper and stuff, and an IC circuit there. So, all right, that's the plan for these. That was a fun scrap, and there's some good value in there. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, the little red button in the lower right-hand corner. Remember, if you have not donated to the Shark Scrapper Shark Adoption Project and you wish to, it's really easy. You just drop me some bucks at paypal.me/sharkscrapper, or you can send me some money to my post office box. The address will be in the description down below. If you want to be shown as anonymous, please make a note so that I don't reveal your name unless you want me to. Not only was this a fun scrap, but I got a new armor and I like it, and I also got to play with my new Genie Lift. Hey everybody, have a great day. We will see you all on the next one.